Hey guys, how you going? This is Billy Eat Worlds, and today we're going to take a look at a theme loadout inspired by the Canadian JTF. This loadout was suggested by Sergio Lungu, so thanks for that dude, and just remember, if you want to suggest a weapon and customization for next week's episode, make sure you let me know in the comment section below. But anyway, the Canadian JTF 2 or Joint Task Force 2 are the Tier 1 Special Forces unit of the Canadian Army, specialising in unconventional warfare and counter-terrorism. They were first activated in 1993 when the Canadian government reassigned the responsibility of counter-terrorism operations to the military rather than police forces. Since 1993, the unit has taken part in a number of conflicts including Bosnia and Herzegovina, Haiti and the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. JTF-2 was originally made up of only 100 members, but since 1993 its role has grown considerably and the unit now numbers around 600 personnel. Now, it's not uncommon for the Special Forces units of allied countries to work together, but because of the close relationship of Canada and the USA, JTF-2 works very closely with US Tier 1 units. The unit was the only foreign force to take part in US Task Force 11, and alongside groups like Delta Force and DevGru, were given the responsibility of hunting high-level Al-Qaeda targets. The close relationship of these countries is a big part of the reason why the Canadian military uses similar standard squad weapons to the USA. I should point out though that Canada uses a different designation system to the US military, but both countries use what we would know in-game as the M4, M16, the M249 and the M240 Bravo. JTF-2's primary assault rifles are the Colt Canada C7 and C8, which are basically the same as the US M16 and the M4. They also use the FN-P90 and the HK MP5 for close quarters engagements, and they use the SIG P226 as their standard sidearm. In this loadout though, I'm running the P90 and the P226, both with the Ripple camo and something completely new to me, the LAW launcher. As for attachments on my P90, I'm using the EOTech Holosight compensator and laser sight, and on the P226 I'm using the Ghost Ring and laser. Now, I must admit I don't normally use the Engineer class, so I probably didn't use my gadgets as much as I should have, but regardless this was still a pretty interesting loadout to use. The effectiveness of this setup is probably debatable though, because outside of TDM and Domination, PDWs just aren't that great. I'd made up my mind to capture this footage on Russian Conquest, so this loadout definitely was a challenge to say the least. You really have to hug the CQB areas pretty closely, because at mid to long range, you're just going to get destroyed by just about every other gun on the battlefield. The biggest issue with this loadout by far is the compensator on the P90, which absolutely destroys the accuracy of the weapon at anything but short range. The P90 is actually a pretty good PDW, but it's got a pretty bad base accuracy and the compensator just hurts it even more by adding to its spread increase per shot. Normally I run the P90 with a suppressor and put its 51 rounds to good use by sneaking around and flanking enemies. You can still pick up a bunch of kills like this if you get the jump on enemies, but without that suppressor it's only a matter of time before someone ends up sneaking up on you. The P226 on the other hand, well, I really like this pistol, and I think apart from the 93R it's the only pistol I've got mastery tags for. I'd probably run it with the Mini RDS though instead of the Ghost Ring, and once again I'd also probably add a suppressor. And finally, the LAW launcher. Well, I must confess I hadn't used this launcher before I started this loadout, and now I can see why it's not so popular. It basically automatically locks on targets and guides itself, but it seems like it doesn't do that much damage, so I think I would have preferred to run with a Dumbfire RPG or something instead. So all in all, is the Canadian JTF loadout worth using, and if I could, what would I change? Well, like I said before, I definitely switch out the compensator for a suppressor and the LAW for an RPG, but as for everything else though, it didn't seem too bad. I think if this loadout proves anything though, it's that most PDWs, including the better ones like the P90, don't really have a place in Russian Conquest. The P90 is all good and fine out to about 10 to 15 meters, but beyond that the damage drop off is just ridiculous, and sometimes you'll find yourself running through a whole mag just to take out one guy. If you haven't already tried out the P90 though and you're looking for something different, then definitely give this loadout a shot. Also, maybe some of you Engineer players out there can tell me what you think you'd change about this loadout, because when it comes to taking out vehicles, I honestly have no idea what works good and what doesn't. But anyway, that just about wraps up this week's theme loadout, so let me know what you think in the comment section below and feel free to suggest a theme for my next episode. As always, if you like what you see, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and if you haven't already, please check out all my other Battlefield 4 videos. I've got them all linked in a playlist in the description below. But until next time, see you later and have a good one.